we had our fun. Then we'll go sit out and tailgate, and then we all just sulk together and complain and whine, and then we go home.
Nice. All right. Well, let's hope the Steelers destroy them, but we'll see.
Right.
So what's going on? What is Trash Katz?
Okay, so me, my brother, and a friend of mine started a podcast. It was actually before it was Win with the Shonekans, right? But so Tong is his last name is Win, but it's not spelled like W-I-N, it's Nguyen. So it's hard for people to spell that. So we were trying to figure out a name to kind of change everything, and all three of us were at my house one day. We're all just drinking and stuff like that, and we were like, "Oh, we should change the name to Trash Cats." We were talking about like raccoons, which is weird. So then we ended up changing it. So we ended up changing to Trash Cats, where we talk sports, we talk pop culture. Those are kind of the two things that we mainly talk about. We talk a lot of Jaguars talk, but now that they're trash, we just don't talk about it. But typically, like, people will see us on, like, because we live podcast on Twitch. People will see, like, we'll like have Jaguar stuff on it. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, we get the name now." They're like, "Oh, you're Jaguar fans. Oh, Trash Cats, we get it."
What's Why I Am?
So that was a podcast that I started right after we ended not ended. We put Donardo's Dugout on hiatus. For those who don't know, I was the producer of Donardo's Dugout. And I figured, you know what, I have a little bit of extra time. So I was like, let me go ahead and do a podcast where I kind of like have different people on and talk about things that they've went through and kind of figure out the reason why they are the way they are, and kind of, talk about the reason why the way I am the way I am. So it's interesting because it's kind of like takes me out of my comfort zone, because I don't really like digging into people's personal life, and I don't like disclosing mine really. So it's at times, to me, it's like it's uncomfortable, but it's like it's good though. It's therapeutic to just get stuff off your chest and kind of just get things out of there. So I'm always trying to have more people on. You can come on if you want to. I always want to have a guest on. So
let's do it. Yeah.
If you want to come through and kind of talk about yourself and stuff like that, then yeah, sure, come on. But that's
So free psychiatric advice.
Mm-hmm. Basically, but I'm not. But it's just based on my opinion. But it normally with the podcast, it ends up turning into me asking them about things that I deal with and how I should process it, and it's kind of like a back and forth kind of thing. So it's like we're both pulling ourselves through the conversation.
Cool. All right. So you're at Geddis Mola on Twitter, and at Trash
Katz. Yes, Trash Katz on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Trash Katz, one word with a K and a Z. Sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's okay. That's okay. All right, Geddis Shonekan, thank you so much. When are you coming back to Pittsburgh?
Donardo was trying to get me to come back sometime this year, but I don't know if I'll be able to. So I'm hoping sometime, I don't know. Because he's the one who typically tells me the days. So Donardo's like, here's the days that we're looking at going. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll pick one. So hopefully sometime within the first 3 months of next year, I'll come back down there.
Before you come, we need to teach you some Pittsburghese. We need to, because you don't even know what jagoff means, right?
No, I do not know what jagoff means at all. I was like, jagoff.
We need to get you. Yeah. Well, let me put it this way. Donardo's a jagoff. That's how you know that's your definition right there.
Really? Yeah. So like an asshole?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
There's other Pittsburghese words we need to teach you, but we'll get to that another time.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, he drove me around Newcastle and stuff too. So yeah, I'm down. Pittsburgh's nice.
Pittsburgh's nice. Newcastle, not so much.
Yeah, Newcastle, not so much.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. I enjoyed it.
Oh, where to begin? I just wrote an article yesterday, and I laid out 16 reasons that the Jags have had issues.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, 16. I came up with 16, and that was being kind. Anyway, you look at this team this season compared to last season. And it's almost the same team. So I know people are kind of like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Got the same coaching staff. But I think sometimes just two key players can make a big difference. And if your team thinks that the people who are going to take their spot is going to be able to fill it and they don't, yikes.
Yeah.
And I think when we lost Aaron Colvin, that disrupted the chemistry of the secondary. Because if you want to look at probably the greatest secondary that we've ever seen, and I would say is the no-fly zone in Denver, same thing happened to them. They lost. They kept it going, they lost T.J. Ward, and then they were okay, but then they lost Aqib Talib, and that was it. And that just, it's all based on chemistry and communication. And I think that's gone. It's not there. There's a disconnect there. Plus, they've lost so many of their secondary. They can't play nickel. If you can't play nickel, it's hard to play man.
Yeah.
So, and so now this year they're playing a lot of zone. What's the number one thing you need to play zone? Number one, top of the list, communication, and then second is trust. You have to be able to trust that the guys are going to do their jobs, and that's not happening. I think that that's what's going on now, that there's this disconnect. And part of it, I think it's just because they've had so many injuries. They haven't had a healthy backfield since the Patriots. I mean, Ramsey's been hurt a little bit. Gibson's hurt right now. They had Patman go down. They had DJ Hayden, who was supposed to be their nickel. They moved Miles Jack from outside to in. And I think that might have been also why they're not doing sacks or anything, because there's no really edge guy. And they lost Paul Posluszny. And he was like the hub. He didn't play a whole lot, but that guy was a leader, and if he was out there on the field, you weren't having what you saw against the Colts, where it's like, what are you doing? So that's my short version.
What about on the
Let me know
offense?
if you want me to get the details.
What about on the offense? It's just, is it all because Fournette wasn't
Injuries. It's all injuries, the same as the defense. I mean, last year, the Jags were one of the least hurt teams. That's huge.
Yeah.
We were on our third team left tackle, and they're now both hurt. Oh, the fourth one's hurt too, because then we brought in Eric Flowers, and he's hurt as well.
Yeah.
We lost our center. He's gone against the Colts. So, I mean, when your O-line can't block for a quarterback that is average, you're going to have some bad things happen. Then you have your number one wide receiver, Marquise Lee. People forget about that. He went down in the preseason. So no number one wide receiver. Fournette goes down, no number one running back. You lose your starting left tackle. The rest of them all start getting hurt. Norwell's been hurt this whole time. Then you lose your starting tight end. And then his backup gets hurt. And his backup gets hurt. And they're pulling guys off the street.
I think they asked me at one point.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I feel like, hey, you over there. You know, when I go to physical therapy, there's a 6'6" guy there. I feel like, say, do you play tight end?
Are you available
Hello?
on Sundays?
Yeah. I mean, just go out there and block. He's a big dude, so he plays basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd probably be fine. Yeah, it just.
So it's just that, and I think that Bortles is just. I don't know how many quarterbacks though would be able to do a whole lot when all your starters are gone. I mean, who? Seriously. I mean, we know he's not like going to be getting MVP anytime, but when his O-line against the Colts, they actually, and he had 2 tight ends, and the tight ends caught balls. Oh my gosh, it was like, he did okay. They did okay. That's the difference. And then they got hurt. So, do I think that the Steelers have a chance to cream them? Yes.
What about
You have 3 people. You have 3 people who did not practice today on your entire team, and one of them was Ben Roethlisberger, and that was probably the coach just wanting to rest him. Right. That's it. 3.
Why? How bad is it? What's the injury report look like in Jacksonville? Is it more like 33?
Well, if you want to add in our IR list, which is like a bone bug. I believe we have like 12 people on injury reserve.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Mhm. So, there's a lot of finger pointing, but when you start getting, your second teamers start getting hurt as well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I think the team has kind of given up. I think they're like, So.
But still, they've lost 5 in a row, and NFL teams just don't lose that many in a row without. At some point, they're just going to put together a good game, regardless of who's playing, just because they're sick of losing. And I have a feeling that might happen in this game.
Well, it could, but I would say that the one thing is you all don't have. You play smash mouth football. We got that. But you really don't have any, like, scary edge rushers.
Right.
So that could help us as in the Jags, because our O-line obviously has issues. But the 2 tight ends, they caught 9 passes. And I know, to some team like the Colts who use 3 tight ends themselves, or maybe 4, that's a joke, but for Jacksonville, I think that's the most catches of tight ends the entire season combined. This team has the talent, even beat up. And you're right. The second half against the Colts, that was a winnable game.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, Blake Bortles in the offense did enough to win. If you can put up 26 points, you can win. But the first half, they came out like, oh, the Colts have tight ends? That's all Luck throws to is tight ends. So how did you not know this?
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people in Jacksonville want Todd Wash's, that's the defensive coordinator, his head. But I really think, and I won't say their names because you'll be going, who are they? But I really think it's the DB and the linebackers coach. I think the Heat should start with them first because you don't have your players ready. Defensive coordinators aren't supposed to be in all those rooms pumping up. That's your job.
Yeah.
That's assistant coach's job. And I think that is an issue right there. And, if you go to, I'm sure Jags fans, if any of them actually hear me say this, will probably have a fit. But if you go to London and you go out drinking to 4 a.m. before a game that you need to win, that would have been the difference between first and slipping all the way down to the bottom, and you think it's okay to go out drinking to 4 a.m. the day before a game?
That was a really bad look.
Forget the rest part or the detained part. Forget that. The fact that y'all, and this wasn't some kind of,